Albrecht Dürer, Feast of the Rosary, a masterpiece between two worlds. Imagine being a German artist in the year 1506, arriving in Venice, the most dazzling city in the world, and being challenged to prove that you belong among the greatest painters of your age. That is exactly the situation Albrecht Dürer found himself in when he painted the Feast of the Rosary, and what he produced was nothing short of a declaration of genius. Dürer was born in Nuremberg in 1471, the son of a Hungarian goldsmith. From his earliest years, he showed a remarkable gift for precision and beauty. His godfather was Anton Koberger, one of the most important printers in Europe, and this connection to the world of reproduced images would shape Dürer's entire career. He became the greatest printmaker of the Northern Renaissance, famous across the continent for his woodcuts and engravings. But painting, especially oil painting in the grand Italian tradition, was a different challenge altogether, and Dürer knew it. He made 2 journeys to Italy. The second, beginning in 1505, brought him to Venice, where the masters of color and light, Bellini, Giorgione, Titian, were transforming what painting could be. Dürer was both inspired and competitive. He wrote home to his friend Willibald Pirkheimer that in Venice he was considered a gentleman, while in Nuremberg he was merely a craftsman. He was determined to change that. The Feast of the Rosary was his answer. Commissioned by the German merchant community in Venice for their chapel in the Church of San Bartolomeo, it was completed in just 5 months, a breathtaking speed for a work of such ambition and size. The painting measures roughly 1.5 by 1.5 meters, and every centimeter of it radiates Dürer's determination to outshine his Italian rivals on their own territory. At the center of the composition sits the Virgin Mary, clothed in a magnificent blue robe, holding the Christ child on her lap. Her face is serene and idealized in the Italian manner, yet her golden hair and the sharpness of her features carry a distinctly northern character. Above her, 2 small angels hover on clouds, gently lowering a jeweled crown onto her head, a crown of extraordinary craftsmanship, every gemstone rendered with a jeweler's precision that surely reflects Dürer's goldsmith heritage. Around the Virgin, the scene unfolds in 2 symmetrical groups. On her right, she crowns a kneeling pope, traditionally identified as Alexander VI, with a garland of roses. On her left, the Christ child places a similar wreath upon the head of Emperor Maximilian I. This dual coronation is deeply symbolic, the church and the state, the spiritual and the secular, unified beneath the grace of the Madonna. Behind the emperor stands a figure in red and black. That is Dürer himself, looking directly at the viewer with calm confidence, holding a piece of paper that identifies him as the author of the work. Self-portraits within religious commissions were not unusual, but Dürer's gaze here is particularly assured. He knows what he has made. The background reveals a luminous alpine landscape stretching into the distance, mountains, a lake, a city, rendered with that peculiar northern love for precise natural observation. It is a landscape that feels both real and otherworldly, anchoring this heavenly event in recognizable earthly space. What makes this painting so extraordinary is its synthesis. Dürer absorbed the Venetian mastery of warm, glowing color. You can see it in the rich reds and greens, in the soft modeling of the flesh tones, while retaining the northern tradition of meticulous detail. Every face in the crowd is individualized. The fabrics, the Pope's golden vestments, the Emperor's crimson cloak, are painted with almost tactile richness. The angel musicians at the Virgin's feet play with a tenderness that feels genuinely observed from life. Even the grass at the bottom of the picture, often overlooked, is rendered blade by blade. The reception in Venice was extraordinary. Dürer reported that even the Doge came to see it. Giovanni Bellini, the greatest Venetian painter of the age, asked Dürer for one of his brushes as a gift, reportedly astonished by the fineness of the work. For a northern artist to receive that kind of praise from the master of Venetian painting was an almost unimaginable honor. Today, the Feast of the Rosary hangs in the National Gallery in Prague, in the Czech Republic, where it has been since the early 17th century, when Emperor Rudolf II acquired it and had it carried over the Alps by a team of men who held it upright the entire journey so it would not be damaged. That anecdote tells you something about the reverence the painting commanded even then. Dürer returned to Nuremberg in 1507 a transformed artist. The lessons of Venice, above all the Italian understanding of how light unifies a composition and how color creates mood, stayed with him for the rest of his life. He died in 1528, leaving behind a body of work that remains one of the most astonishing achievements in the history of Western art. The Feast of the Rosary is in many ways the pivot point of his career, the moment when the finest draftsman in the North proved he could also be a painter of the highest rank. Stand before it, and you feel the ambition, the intelligence, and the sheer technical will of a man who refused to be limited by where he was born or what tradition he came from. He reached across cultures and made something that belonged to both, and therefore, in the best sense, to all of us.